There was a social and cultural awakening in the first half of the 19th century. The central figure in this awakening was RamMohan Roy, who is rightly regarded as the first great leader of modern India. RamMohan Roy was moved by deep love for his people and country and worked hard all his life for their social, religious, intellectual, and political regeneration. He was pained by the stagnation and corruption of contemporary Indian society. RamMohan Roy possessed great love and respect for the traditional philosophic systems of the East, but at the same time he believed that modern culture alone would help regenerate Indian society. In particular, he wanted his countrymen to accept the rational and scientific approach and the principle of human dignity and social equality of all men and women. In 1809, he wrote in Persian his famous work, Gift to Monotheists. In this he put forward, some really weighty arguments against belief in many gods and for the worship of a single god. He settled in Calcutta in 1814 and pretty soon attracted a band of young men with whose cooperation he started the Atmiya Sabha. RamMohan Roy did not confine his application of the rational approach to Indian religions and traditions alone. In this, he disappointed his many missionary friends who had hoped that his rational critique of Hinduism would lead him to embrace Christianity. RamMohan Roy insisted on applying rationalism to Christianity too, particularly to the elements of blind faith in it. He wanted the high moral message of Christ to be incorporated in Hinduism. He wanted India to learn from the West, but this learning was, supposed to be an intellectual and creative process through which Indian culture and thought were to be renovated. It was not to be an imposition of Western culture on India. So he therefore stood for the reform of Hinduism and opposed its suppression by Christianity. He vigorously defended Hindu religion and philosophy from the ignorant attacks of the missionaries. In 1828, he founded a new religious society, the Brahmo Sabha. This organization later came to be known as the Brahmo Samaj. Its main purpose was to purify Hinduism and to preach monotheism, or the belief in one god. The Brahmo Samaj placed a strong emphasis on human dignity. It opposed idolatry and openly criticized social practices such as the custom of sati. RamMohan Roy was, not just a great thinker, he was also a man of action. Honestly, there was hardly any aspect of nation building that he left untouched. The best example of his lifelong crusade against social evils was the historic agitation he organized against the inhuman custom of women becoming sati. He appealed to the reason, the humanity, and the compassion of the people. He even visited the burning ghats at Kolkata to try and persuade the relatives of widows to give up their plan of self-immolation. He organized a group of like-minded people to keep a strict check on such performances and to prevent any attempt to force the widows to become sati. He was a stout champion of women's rights. He condemned the subjugation of women and opposed the prevailing idea that women were inferior to men in intellect or in a moral sense. To raise the status of women, he demanded that they be given the right of inheritance and property. In 1817, David Hare, who had come out to India in 1800 as a watchmaker, but who spent his entire life in the promotion of modern education in the country, founded the famous Hindu College. RamMohan Roy gave most enthusiastic assistance to Hare in this and his other educational projects. RamMohan represented the first glimmering of the rise of national consciousness in India. RamMohan Roy was a pioneer of Hindu, or rather Indian, journalism. He brought out journals in Bengali, Persian, Hindi, and English to spread scientific, literary, and political knowledge among the people, to educate public opinion on topics of current interest, and to represent popular demands and grievances before the government. He was also the initiator of public agitation on political questions in the country. He condemned the oppressive practices of the Bengal Jamidar, which had reduced the peasants to a miserable condition. He also raised the demands for the Indianization of superior services, separation of the executive and the judiciary, trial by jury and judicial equality between Indians and Europeans. RamMohan Roy was, a firm believer in internationalism and in free cooperation between nations. The poet Rabindranath Tagore has rightly remarked, RamMohan Roy was the only person in his time in the whole world of men to realize completely the significance of the modern age. RamMohan Roy, he took a keen interest in international events really everywhere. He supported the cause of liberty, democracy, and nationalism, and he opposed injustice, oppression, and tyranny in every form. The news of the failure of the revolution in Naples in 1821 made him quite sad. On the other hand, he celebrated the success of the revolution in Spanish America in 1823 by giving a public dinner. RamMohan Roy was, honestly, the brightest star in the Indian sky during the first half of the 19th century, but he was not a lone star. He had many distinguished associates, followers, and successors. Dwarka Nath Tagore was the foremost of his Indian associates. His other prominent followers were Prasanna Kumar Tagore Chandra Sekhar Deb and Tara Chand Chakravarti, who was the first secretary of the Brahma Sabha. So, we can say that RamMohan Roy played a very important role in the social and cultural awakening in the first half of the 19th century.